ladies and gentlemen, this is James Jacoby here, and today I'll give you a review on NWA's Always Ready pay-per-view that took place this past Saturday, June 11th. I enjoyed everything about it. There's some matches that I thought were a little bit wonky, and I just said, you know what, 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I just thought, it felt like a jobber / squash match, and we're talking about, the opening match, which is Aaron Stevens and Trevor Murdoch. And that match was, his last match for Aaron Stevens, and then who knows what he's going to do next in his life. But with that being said, Aaron Stevens, thank you so much for what you've done in pro wrestling for us, in Impact, in WWE, when you were Damian Sandow, and now in NWA, when you came back after you took your small hiatus. And I appreciate everything you've done in our sport, pro wrestling. Thank you for that. But with that being said, Trevor Murdoch versus Aaron Stevenson. Great match, but I felt like it was just like a 5-minute squash match that need to be on, the tapings of NWA Power, but not on the pay-per-view. So that match was short, sweet, and just basically a 5-minute match. But overall, I stick what I said, 3.5 out of 5 match. And I wish it was a longer match because Aaron Stevens deserves better in his last pro wrestling match. And like I said, good luck what he does next in life, and we thank you and wish you the best in your future endeavors, Mr. Aaron Stevens. Then next match on the card, we have Homicide vs. PJ Hawks. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite matches of the night. Homicide, of course, I saw him from, Ring of Honor days of when indies were, still new. From 2000s and going forward, LAX and Impact, when it was in 2004 to 2009, now in 2015 to 2017, and now him and NWA now. Homicide, a high flyer, hardcore wrestling luchador, PJ Hawks to be exact, are going at each other for the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. Just a great classic wrestling matches of styles, and they always say styles make fights, and that's what I saw in this match. And with that being said, Homicide completely, got the W using his finisher Cop Killer. So, PJ Hawks, his future is bright, and he's going to be a future world champion. Not just in NWA, but in whatever company decides to, sign him. So hopefully AEW, either or WWE or Impact, wherever he goes. Hopefully PJ Hawks will be a future world champion. With that being said, on a scale 1 through 5 stars, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars because I got a pure pro wrestling match between Homicide and PJ Hawks. Next, within that same match, we see Colby Corino. I'm still new learning about, Colby Corino. Still learning the indies, and I love it. Learning. Cashing in his, his contract, and he completely faced Homicide after he had a hellacious, great wrestling match between PJ Hawks. He pulled out all the stops, Mr. Carino did. And at the end, Homicide hit, the savvy, blue-collar, hard-working pro wrestler he is, got the win using his Cop Killer and beating Colby Corino with the 1-2-3. So, again, that match deserves another 5 out of 5 match. Homicide, he's killing it at age 45, telling us that age is just a number, and he can still go in our sport of pro wrestling. Next comes Taya Valkyrie versus Natalya Markova with Taryn Terrell, my bad. And this match was a good match. Again, NWA and the Indies and Impact, AEW, take care of the women's division, and they actually respect the women's division and women's wrestling, so props to them. And very good showing between both women, back and forth wrestling matches. They completely showed us that women wrestling is great, and good to see Taya Valkyrie when is the current AAA women's champion. She wrestled Impact, she wrestled NXT. And good to see her NWA, and she's a great all-around great pro wrestling talent. Has some dramatic showmanship in her gimmick, so that's what makes her great. And her wrestling skills are tremendous. So Natalya Markova, still learning about her, but also she has her own showmanship. So getting to know her, but she got the W, and she showed us why she deserves the win, picking up against a great veteran and future women's world champ, Taya Valkyrie. Now I'll go back to my other match, Jax Dane versus Chris Adonis for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. Chris Adonis, I know him from Chris Masters from WWE, from the Master Lock, and of course Chris Adonis again from Impact Wrestling, and now he's in NWA. He's doing tremendous in the indies and the syndicated promotions like NWA. Jax Dane versus Chris Adonis, heck yeah, man. That match was hard hitting. It brought, what wrestling also brought in. And Jax Dane still learning from him, the current NWA National Heavyweight Champion. And Chris Masters showing his true potential in this match, bringing back the old school stuff from his WWE days, showing the Master Lock, completely showing his, his physique as usual, showing us why he's a good, all-around great pro wrestler that WWE did not show enough of him. So in NWA and in on the indies, he's showing us why Chris Adonis is a special talent that WWE completely dropped the ball on. So even though he lost, Chris Adonis put on a masterpiece, no pun intended, in this wrestling match. So this match gets a 4.5 out of 5 because, again, my pick was Chris Adonis, and I wanted him to become a 2-time national NWA heavyweight champion. Next match, Tyrus versus Mims. Oh, this one, I give it a 4 out of 5 because, I love what Mims brought to the table. Body slamming Tyrus to get a championship match at this pay-per-view, showing us the true blue-collar, hard grit, whatever it takes, wrestler to completely bust your ass and completely give your heart and soul to the sport you love and get a championship match. And Mims gave his all, but towards the end of the match, or in the closing of it, I saw he dislocated his shoulder, and I was like, ref, you gotta stop this before it gets worse, or his career's done. But you gotta admire Mims' complete passion, the drive, and his guts to continue to compete. Hats off to Mims, great match, and it hurt me the most. I had to give this match a 3.5 out of 5 because not only did he just lose the match, and my pick was Mims versus Tyrus for the NWA TV title, but it hurt my heart to see a wrestler, injured, and see his or her ligaments, joints out of place, and I'm like, oh gosh. I remember seeing when Lance Archer chokeslammed Ray Phoenix through a table, and his arm just his elbow got popped out of his arm. I'm like, goodness gracious, how and why, and goodness gracious, let's just completely stop the match before it gets worse. So Mims, my heart goes out to you. I appreciate you. I love you for being a great pro wrestler, and your passion, your drive, like I said, to be in the sport, and you deserve another title shot against Tyrus. And you're a future world champion, not just in the NWA, but as the future goes on, and if you continue to wrestle in different promotions. Next, La Rebellion versus Commonwealth. La Rebellion, Bestia 666, and Mecha Wolf versus Commonwealth, Doug Williams and Harry Smith. Doug Williams from British Invasion, I remember from Impact Wrestling, from TNA days, The Asylum. Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith from WWE. And, this match was completely what tag team wrestling is supposed to be. Constant, technical wrestling, constant, hot tags, great lucha wrestling style, technical wrestling style, all the styles of wrestling I love, and of course, adding the thrills of what pro wrestling is all about. False finishes, will they tap out? Completely, 2.5, out of 3 for the win, but. I got this one right in the Commonwealth connection. Congrats on them. Congrats on giving us a great match. Oh, and before I go back with my ratings and I go on with this, I give Mims versus never mind. But NWA tag team match between Commonwealth and Connection versus La Rebellion. This one has to be my second favorite match of the night. A 5 out of 5 because I saw great tag team pro wrestling, and that's what the indies and the syndicated promotions like NWA and more completely care about. They care about 2 words that we all love: professional wrestling. So this is my second match of the night I love the most about this pay-per-view was tag team wrestling. NWA is doing it. They're caring about women's wrestling, tag team wrestling. They care about professional wrestling as a whole. So Commonwealth, congratulations, Douglas Williams, Harry Smith. You guys deserve it. Congrats, and thanks for giving us a great pro wrestling present. 5 out of 5 in that tag team NWA World Tag Team Championship match. The next match, Camille versus Kylan King. Again, NWA, Impact, AEW, syndicated / indie promotions do care about women's wrestling, because I saw, how many matches we saw? Camille versus Kylan King, Taya Valkyrie versus Natalya Markova. Also I forgot to say the women's tag team match. I forgot to add. I'll get into that later, but they had Hex versus Pretty Empowered. Before I go on with the whole Camille versus Kylan King, Hex, Allison Kay, Marty Bell. I remember Allison Kay for Ring of Honor, Women's Division, Ring of Honor, another underrated, a great underrated independent promotion that completely, was a great indie promotion, and I thank God Tony Khan took care of that and bought it. And Allison Kay, I remember her from there. Marty Bell as well. I remember her from the WWE, Mae Young Classic tournament, and of course NWA now. They had a great tag team match. Pretty Empowered still don't know them yet, but not gonna lie, they put on a hell of a show in front of the whole world for wrestling fans like me, and they also wrestled in front of their families. So that was a great win for them, and for us to see a great young tag team talent win the big one at the big pay-per-view. So I love seeing all walks of wrestling life get a chance at the piece of the pie, pumpkin pie, because I love pumpkin pie. Congratulations, Pretty Empowered. Great tag team match. Now, so on a rating scale between Hex and Pretty Empowered, I give it a 5, because again, I was saying, you know what? I'm not gonna be biased. I'm not gonna choose anyone. I want to be surprised in this one. I love surprises, and that's what Pretty Empowered did. Hats off to Pretty Empowered, because they really, really killed it. So 5 out of 5. Because, I was surprised to see Pretty Empowered to win at such a young age, and also Hex, the veteran wrestlers as they are. And like I said, Pretty Empowered, great job. Now back to what I was saying earlier between Camille and Kylan King, who I've seen from AEW and AEW Dark Elevation and AEW Dark, and the Indies as well. A great all-around wrestling match. Women's wrestling is completely peak. It's great. It's fun wrestling, and women's wrestling and men's wrestling on the same level. Always entertaining, always worth watching. So please support women's wrestling, support independent wrestling, support all wrestling, because wrestling is a sport that we all love and know. And my opinion about Camille versus Kylan King, wow, man. And also seeing Bully Ray commentate for that match in the main event, and I'll get back to the main event after this. But Camille and Kylan King, actually, for the NWA Women's Championship match, it was great. And Bully Ray, as a commentator, and seeing him in the greatest shape, awesome. Also support Busted Open Podcast on your any kind of platform you support on your streaming services, and wherever you get your podcast at, Pandora, Spotify, Anchor FM, Amazon Music. This goes on and on. But Camille and Kylan King put on a wrestling clinic. And I can see why Camille is going to be world champion going forward. And Kylan King, future world champion as well. So, what was my pick? I had to give it to Camille because she killed it. And, Kylan King put up a good fight. But at the end of the day, who won was Camille. And on a scale of 1 through 5 stars, I had to give it a 5 because I enjoyed that match. It got me on the edge of my seat. I was like, who's going to win? So much false finishes. But at the end, Camille got the W, so hats out to Camille. And finally, we go to the main event. We had a fatal 4-way, and we're supposed to get regionally Matt Cardona versus Nick Aldis. But of course, thanks to Matt Cardona getting injured, he had to relinquish the title right in front of Billy Corgan. And before Billy Corgan came out, he also said that he wanted to carry the 10 pounds of gold NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And I wanted to see Cardona, the king of deathmatch wrestling, defend the title. But Of course, take care of yourself. Health is wealth, and then you come back stronger. The comeback will get stronger. As CM Punk says. And Cardona, I wish you all the best, man. And the Cardonas, I know, future tag team champions, not just in NWA, but list goes on and on. Chelsea Green, hopefully she wrestles Camille for the NWA Women's World Championship or the Impact World Championship, whatever she wants to do. I respect every single one of you wrestlers in any promotion. With that being said, back to the whole main event of NWA Always Ready. I had to say, that was really fun. And again, that was my third favorite match of the night, because if you look at what happened next, is Billy Corgan comes out after Matt Cardona completely basically told that he wanted to compete and he just didn't want to relinquish it, and it tore my heart to pieces seeing Cardona release the Impact World Digital Media Championship, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the 10 pounds of gold, and any other championship won in the Indies, and wherever else. And I was like, Cardona, man, don't worry, man, we got your back, we support you, we love you. And Matt Cardona will come back stronger, like I said. So Billy Corgan came out and he said, you know what, you got to give the title, and we're going to relinquish your reign as champion because you're injured, and the show must go on, and we had to give the people a determined, legit champion tonight before the night ends. So who comes out? We got Nick Aldis, of course, who's completely berating Matt Cardona, saying he's a WWE ex-parasite. Also saying, I'll challenge you once you get better, Matt Cardona said to Nick Aldis, and hopefully get to see the match again. And, well, not again, but in the future. I haven't seen them yet, but hopefully we get to see in the future. Hopefully on, NWA's 74th anniversary show in August. Hopefully Mike Cardona gets better if he comes back healthy. But sorry, on a side tangent. With that being said, hopefully what happens next, and hopefully I take that back, but what happens next is you got Trevor Murdoch come out, you got Tom Latimer. They're saying, you know what, I'm a main eventer. Tom Latimer said to himself, I deserve to be in here. And Billy Corgan had to make a tough decision. It should be a triple threat match with Trevor Murdoch, Tom Latimer, Nick Aldis. It was weird seeing Nick Aldis and Tom Latimer go at each other, because they used to be strictly business with Royce Isaacs, Tom Latimer, Camille, and of course Nick Aldis. But they all went their separate ways and did their own thing, and look at them now, killing it. And now also Chris Adonis as well. They all went their separate ways, and now they're killing it individually. Now, out of nowhere, and I'm surprised I saw this, recently released NXT wrestler, I don't use the word superstar because every wrestler is a pro wrestler. Recently NXT released wrestler Samuel Shaw, or Dexter Lumis, comes out of nowhere. I'm like, what? Dexter Lumis, or should I say Samuel Shaw, was added to make this a fatal four-way. Now we have Nick Aldis, Murdoch, Latimer, and Shaw. Wow, I was like, this match is crazy, and it's a four-way dance. And I'm like, let's bring it. And then, of course, Cardona gives the title to Billy Corgan. Corgan stands in the ring, and he kisses, and he says, this match is scheduled for one fall and a fatal four-way dance for the NWA 10 pounds of gold world championship. With that being said, it was crazy. It was hitting everywhere, in the ring, outside the ring. It was a sold-out arena, by the way, in Knoxville, Tennessee. And wow, man, I got my money's worth. For $24.99 or $25 in general, I got my money's worth. It was a great pay-per-view, affordable pay-per-view. It's worth every pay-per-view, seriously, for NWA, anyone. And at the end, I was shocked, because I was like, what was left? It was Nick Aldis versus Trevor Murdoch. Murdoch hits the Bulldog off the top rope, and 1, 2, 3, our new world NWA champion, 10 pounds of gold, is Trevor Murdoch. Wow. He won it a second time, and it's the reign of Mr. Murdoch now. And with that being said, how would I rate the rating scale for NWA Always Ready? Scale 1 through 10. I'm going to go with 9.5 because I missed some picks. Because I really wanted... actually, just strictly at 8.5. I go with that because there are two matches that I really wanted to see go my way, which is basically, first Aaron Stevens getting at least a good longer wrestling match rather than being squashed within less than 5 minutes. And then I wanted to see Nick Aldis, finally regain his 10 pounds of gold. But of course, you can't always win it. Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. But overall, all the matches were great. If you haven't seen NWA Always Ready, please do, because it's a great pay-per-view. NWA is really great promotion. Support it. Please watch it every single Tuesday night on Fight TV. And if you want to subscribe for $50 a year on Fight TV, do it, because you're doing yourself a service. You're seeing pro wrestling done right, and that's for all the promotions, not just NWA. And also, you get to see NWA replay on Fridays at 5 p.m. and also NWA USA on Saturdays at noon time. And overall, I love watching NWA, and NWA will always have a place in my heart. So, in my opinion, I stand what I said, 8.5 out of 10. All the matches were great, but two matches I felt like were really disappointing, and that's the Aaron Stevens versus Trevor Murdoch, and the what was the other one? It was the Austin Idols managing Scion. Hold on a second. So, Trevor Murdoch versus Aaron Stevens was one match that really made me sad, of course. And then where's the other one? Scion versus Tom Latimer. Because no, that was a good match. I take that back. It's the Mims versus Tyrus, because again, I hate to see a wrestler injured, and I hate to see them still go on, even though I'm conflicted, actually. I love seeing a wrestler compete injured, but at the same time I'm nervous because they could make the injury go worse. So those two matches, I have to say, were heartbreaking, because one match, Aaron Stevens versus Trevor Murdoch, deserves to be longer because that's his last match, Mr. Stevens. And then Mims versus Tyrus, his shoulder was out of place, and I'm like, dude, please don't get injured out there. You deserve better, and I think you deserve one more shot, because you wrestled injured and you deserve another title shot. But courage to you, much respect to you, Mr. Mims, and I wish you all the best. So that's the reason why I had to give this pay-per-view an 8.5 out of 10. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna edit anything out because I want to be real and raw, like I promised. And if you hear me have a brain fart or completely pause, it's because I want to be honest with you guys, no lies, okay? And that's my review for NWA Always Ready on Saturday, June 11th at the Knoxville Convention Center live on Fight TV. That cost me $24, and it's worth watching. So support NWA Pro Wrestling, support indie wrestling, and I tell you one thing, support independent professional wrestling, because this is what wrestling is all about. Pure blood and guts, and us beating the hell out of each other. Pro wrestling is real to me, damn it, and I will say that forever. Amen. And last but not least, next Sunday is going to be Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. So please support Impact Wrestling as well, because they're killing it as well. And I will do my review on that next Sunday night. So be prepared for that. With that being said, I'm James Jacoby, being real and raw with you guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm not going to edit anything here because I want to be real and raw with you. And I wish you all the best. Have a good week. Have a good weekend, wherever you are in this life. And remember, peace, love, positivity, and pro wrestling.